Welcome and thank you. Happy Friday. My name is Mark Wu. I'm the Tableau Server and Online Admin User Group Lead. Today's presentation is about Tableau Row Level Security Design. Mainly, I'm going to talk about and also show you the demo for 3 most commonly used techniques to design Tableau Row Level Security dashboards. One is member of. Second, username function. Third, contents function. Let's dive into each of those. Again, for those who just joined, you will find recording for this session at the link I show you, enterprisetableau.com. And from there, you can also see all the previous recordings. What is Tableau permission, Tableau row level security? For those who are relatively new, this slide is for you. Hey, when anyone logs on to Tableau server, of course, you will need to go through the single sign-on to validate you are the user on the server. Then you will see some dashboards. This is controlled by Tableau permission. Okay, what users can see and what user can do. And then if you click one of your dashboard, you will see data set. And for the same dashboard, if different user clicks, they may see different data sets. Depends on if the dashboard has additional row level security design. If there is, different users may see different data sets. One example like this. John is from America. He can see only MR sales. And we from APAC can see only APAC sales dollars, although they access the same sales dashboard. As manager can see all the worldwide sales. Simple enough. Let's see the demo. Here's my workbook. It has row level security design already, and I'm connecting to the server already. Okay, I'm mimic a user. Let's say I'm this. Now, right now, if you can follow my mouse on the right corner, lower corner, this is one user. And Andrew, this user sees data for iPhone, iPad. Okay. Then if I go to different user, this time I'm going to go to Mark Wu as a user. Then Mark will see multiple products. I see iPhone, iPad, Mac with different regions. Okay. If you did not quite catch what I just showed you earlier, so if I go back to Andrew and he only sees one region, okay, and the fewer products for exactly same dashboard. That is what we call row level security design. I'll go more details, but I want to show you the concept for those who are relatively new. So how we design this? Well, there are more than 3 options to design this row level security dashboard. But for years, based on my observation from thousands of workbooks using row level security, those 3 functions are the most popular ones. Is member of is number 1 popular. Username is number 2. Content function is number 3. So what I'm recommending, well, I'm recommending, of course, use is member of first. If it doesn't work, use username. If it doesn't work, use content. Well, some cases you will use combination of all the 3. Let's dive into the details, how it is designed. Okay, go back to my earlier workbook. Now, this workbook, I showed you earlier already, it has row level security design. Let's just look into this workbook. Has 2 different views. I can look for either one. Let's just look for sales, simple enough. Now, when you look this worksheet, I don't see a filter here. So where the security is, if it is not in a workbook filter, where it is? Well, it must be in the data source filter, right? It must be in data source filter. Click data source. edit data source filters. You will see there is something there. Of course, it has to be either data source filter or workbook level filter. Strongly recommend, again, strongly recommend, put it in the data source filter. Why? Well, when you gave workbook web editing feature to users, if you leave this filter at the workbook level, guess what? The users can change the filter. That is not what you wanted. So strongly recommend put the row level security in the data source filter. Especially if you publish this workbook, separate data source with the workbook. And then when you separate your data source, you don't give end user connect permission. Okay, you don't give, I'll show you more. On the data source, when you publish, you don't give end user access or connect permission. Okay, which means the workbook level, you embed the password. I will talk more about the permission. Okay, let's check what is here. Okay, I do have one simple filter saying it's true. The name of the filter, I just call it row level security. It can be anything else. Let's look into row level security. This is a calculated field. If I do edit, what tells me? Hey, looks like very long, but it's very simple. Actually, only use one function. What is function? Is member of. Okay, only use one function. The other very long. The rest is just your simple logic. Your logical is a member of. What is member of? Okay, if you don't know the help, this is my favorite. When you click something, when you click function, you click the triangle, you will show this function. Your help is right there. Is a member of, return true. Don't know if you can read. Let me make it larger maybe. Don't know how to make it large. Return true if current user is a member of a given group. Okay, let's say this is is a member of 01 super user. It returns true this function if this current user on server is part of this group. This is how the function works. Again, I have calculation here is a member of if this user, the user who clicked that dashboard is part of this group and this return true. And for the line of business, for the particular record, if it's iPad, and for the region, if central, this whole thing is true. Means what? Let's look at the data. You can see better. Okay. Let's look at the data because other two conditions are the data. Okay, let's view the data. This data is nothing but super store data set. Just for fun, I just changed the line of business to iPad, iPhone. But then this is a store for Office Depot, for example. Okay, and the region, there is region same. So what I'm saying is, if this online user clicked the Tableau server is part of iPad Central group, and this particular record line of business is iPad and the region is Central, this user will see this record because it becomes true. Actually, as you can see, yeah, this will be true. So condition line of business here, and I do have a column called region. Here I go, region. Okay, I do have a region. Depends on the rule. This rule level security talk about depends on the rule combination of three things. In here, I only control three things. One is region, line of business, and user group. Depends on your use case. You may have more or less control. Depends on how it goes. Okay. I also have a flexibility saying, hey, if this user is iPad worldwide group, and this user will see the whole iPad, no matter which region. Okay. or some special user, if they are part of a super user group, they gotta see worldwide, just like me. I added myself as a 01 super user. This is a server group, okay? This is our server groups. This is how it works. I know that I'm part of worldwide, the super 01 super user group, so I can type in my name. Oops, type it Ronnie. All right, redo it. I got to see worldwide data. Here we go. All right, this is a simple example how is member of works. Is a member of is the most commonly used approach to design row level security. I'll walk you through again, then I'll come back to answer the question you have. The syntax is very simple. This is review what I just showed you on the dashboard. Examples used in the calculation. You create a calculate field, and then you add this calculation into your data source filter. You can also add it in the workbook filter, but it's not recommended. Reason is that if you add it in the workbook filter, you need to make sure the web editing is turned off for the workbook. How it works, okay? Again, simple stuff. How it works. User John, let's say user John is part of iPad West, okay? Responsible for iPad product in the West region. Of course, John clicking on Tableau Server has to be valid Tableau Server user, first of all. If yes, John see maybe 3 dashboards, okay? One of them on the right side, as you can see, has a more user specific view. Whenever you see those type of dashboards on your server, that means those dashboards have row level security design, okay? And John clicks one of those, okay? Has let's say it's a sales summary, and now the calculation kicks in. Validate A, if John is part of 01 iPad West group. Yes. And for any record, we talk about record, right? For the data set, for sales record, let's say the sales has 1,000 orders. Go through order one by one to see which order has a region saying West region and has a line of business IOB as an iPad. If yes, get those rules, records, get these orders. Get those orders that again, region sales and LOB is iPad. Then summarize and visualize for John. Render it on John's browser or phone, iPad. That's it. That is row level security. I just try to explain in a simple way. All right, that's cool. That's simple. Just try to give you one-page summary how you will design it. 6 steps. I'm not going to go through each steps, but it's simple stuff. Okay. Assume you have a server. Let me walk you through very, very quick. As first example. Assume you have a group, hopefully synced up with your directory group. Create a calculator field, add the field to data source filter. Publish it. And I'm talking about number 4. Publish data source, but do not give end user connect permission. When I say end user means the Explorer user, means like John, sales guy. Don't give him connect data source permission, because if you do, John can potentially edit data source filter. That's not what you want. Number 5, publish workbook and making sure embed password authentication. So even John does not have connect permission to the data source, John can still leveraging proxy your user to connect to data, get iPad West, for example, and set workbook permissions. That's it. All right. If I, again, reinforce, again, about the permission thing. How do you set up permission? We are server guys, we're admin guys, side of server admin, making sure this setup is correct. 3 things when you publish data source permission. Number 1, again, for the published data source, no need to give end user permissions. I'm repeating 5 times because I see so many my publishers that still make mistake after a long time. Number 2, in the workbook level, it gave permission to all the groups. Let's say when you have row level security, you have 5 different groups in the workbook level. You need to give all the 5 groups the workbook permission for them to see the workbook. Although you don't need to give any of the permissions to any of the group to the data source. For workbook, you need to give all the group permissions. And then when you publish the workbook, making sure you embed the password. Okay, embed the password. Embed the password. I repeat 3 times. If I give you a screenshot, here's how it looks like. Okay. And start with right upper corner, data, edit, data source filter, add your calculated field. On the left lower corner means when you publish your workbook, making sure you embed your password. That's it. Then you're all set. All right, what are the tips and challenges to use each member of? Well, one challenge is maintenance of the workbook. Means whenever you have a new group, whenever you have a new product, new dimension, a new user, how you manage this? I mean, one time sounds like not too crazy to publish, but what about ongoing? Well, can be a challenge, but here are some tips. When you have a new dimension, means new product, okay, or new line of business comes in. Do you have to update your workbook every single time? Right, that's a question. That's a maintenance of the workbook. So the tip is that if you know you have a new product coming, okay, it's okay to add this new product value into your calculation even before it exists in your data source. Think about that. That can save you some time for your maintenance. Okay. What about new group? Right now you have 5 groups. There's number 6 group coming. How do you have to edit your workbook, your calculation every single time when there's new group added? Well, the tips is you can plan ahead. Means if you know, anticipate some groups, you can create those groups there and use them into your calculation already. But you can leave the members as nobody. So when the members are, especially if you sync your LDAP with a Tableau Server group, when the members are added into LDAP, those members will be using this row level security automatically. So my point is, you can plan ahead. You don't have to edit your workbook every single time. Now, third challenge is, how do you maintain the membership of the group? Most places I know is manual work. That is a little bit challenge, but depends on your directory, company directory. Some company directory, they have automatic APIs that you can update much easier. Of course, Tableau Server group also has API, but most likely, most of us were using syncing the LDAP, the Active Directory to Tableau Server. So try to find a way if you can automate the group membership. What if you have too many members, too many groups, sorry. What if you have too many groups? That can be a challenge if you have more than 30 groups. Then I don't feel this is scalable anymore. It's not because Tableau Workbook cannot scale. It's mainly because maintain 30, 40 groups manually for the security can be challenging. can be difficult. If that is the case, I will recommend using next one, username function. Username basically is an entitlement table. All right, let me see if I can help answer quick questions in the QA. Crystal, how does the row level security impact dashboard performance and how we can optimize reports which contains this feature? This is a great question. This is why I don't recommend some other ways. Is member of does impact performance, but is the least impact. Is member of will give you the best performance. Okay, which is why I recommend number one always is member of. Great question. I'll come with the performance impact is more when you use username function. Okay, the tips tricks when you have a username entitlement table. The key big game changer is when you use entitlement table. That will very likely slow down your performance of your dashboard. Then the key design for that is to use multi-table extracts, which I'll talk in next example. I'll talk about that. Okay, but is a member of is the least impact for performance. Rigi, if a user belongs to multiple groups, will the is member function capture return at the first true and then will capture all the rest group true? If a user is part of multiple groups, I'll show you example. Okay, let's say a user is part of iPad Central and iPad East. So basically the user will see both. iPad will see Central data for iPad and the East data for iPad. Yeah, become true. We'll see combination of all the records for two items. Okay. Fiona, if on Tableau Online wants a good way to audit row level security on the various dashboard on your site, if you want to figure out how many data sources, how many workbooks are using row level security, how to audit that, that's a great question. I don't think I know the answer. I wanted to do that as well. If anyone has easy way to find out all your workbooks on your site, no matter it's online or server, how many workbooks, which kind of workbooks are using the row level security easy way, I would love to know. Please share. Thank you. I don't know the answer. Brandy, how do you define active directory group? Do you define one for each project on the server or by team rule within the organization? How do you define the groups? Well, it depends on how the data should be segmented. It all depends on the business use cases. It all depends on what your use case is. Okay, there's no right or wrong way. I see some teams that can slice dice into 10 different ways for the data set. It all depends. I don't have an answer for that. Rahul, what are the means of primary node and additional nodes in Tableau Server? Primary nodes means, actually, that's older term. There's no more primary node and the additional nodes anymore. It's called first initial node or not. I think where the what's it called? What's the initial node? Is that where your primary repo is installed? I don't know for sure. Where your primary repo is installed, I think is the initial node. They changed the term a little bit. Cynthia, we currently use Tableau user filter and with our security group. It's better to use those functions. Okay, user filter. I did not list user filter over there. It's not I don't know the user filter. User filter function is one simplest way to design row level security. I do see some people use, but it's not a scalable solution because every single thing is controlled in the workbook or data source level. If you add one user, you have to modify the data source or workbook. If you add, it's like too much more maintenance, okay, which is why it's not scalable. I'm going to stop here and move on next username function, okay. We use the username function. Let me start the demo, the username function. My demo number 2, username function. Let me confirm this is the username function. Okay, this is not the demo. This is the demo, I think. Hold on a second. Yeah. All right, I'm going to do number 2 demo that is using the username, especially when you have groups more than 30. And too many groups maintenance become a challenge. The function, the dashboard works the same way. Let's say I'm going to, if I sign in, use Andrew, I see different data set, and Mark, I see more data, okay? It has row level security design. If I go to the dashboard, and now, as you can see, now I have 2 tables. One is the same base table, orders. Now I have a second table. And if I go to my data source, okay, go to my data source, you see this data source is joined with 2 tables, base table and entitlement table. I call it entitlement table. If you look at how it looks like user entitlement, it's very simple, okay, very simple. It's saying this user, okay, is entitled to see IMAC West region. This is the username on the server, okay? Let's pretend this is the username on the server, okay? Some of the, this is not display name, but a username. Some of your servers configured username as the email address, some other configured with their employee ID, whatever, okay? So the entitlement table is very simple. This user is entitled with which line LOB, and which region. And then there are 3 ways to do entitlement table. Okay, I'm going to show you each. One is you use the traditional join. It's like that, okay? Traditional left join. Okay, double click, left join. So when you do a left join, you left join LOB, left join region. Okay, you don't join the username. Okay, and the username calculation is like that. I do have a filter. Okay, again, I call the row level security filter in the data source. My filter, let's look at row level security. This time is much simpler. It's just saying username function, and then I'm going to call the string username. String is the option, depends on if you use my is number, the username is number. That's why they call it string. That is my row level security. Okay, simple enough. Complexity is at the entitlement table. You build the entitlement table. Okay, and in this example, I show you how to do the traditional join. The key point to improve performance is if you, number 1, use extracts. Number 2, making sure use physical table extracts when you have the traditional cross database join. Okay, what physical table extracts give you is that it will separate 2 extracts. One is order extracts, another one is user entitlement extracts. And then when query time, they will link them together. This will avoid the potential data explosion. In most use cases, I see this way give us a lot of better performance. I have a lot of good examples. My team, they have like 2,000 user entitlement, and they have 1 million records in the base table. When they're doing the regular extracts, okay, when they're doing the regular extracts using without the multi-table, that extracts even does not finish within 4 hours. So it doesn't work at all. When they use the multi-table extracts, finish pretty good. Okay, and the render time is pretty good. I have a lot of those good examples. That's a tip to improve performance. This is number one way using the transitional join. Number two example, okay? Exactly same base table, same entitlement table. In this case, as you can see, I'm using the new relationship. I'm using the new relationship join, not the traditional join. Again, I'm joining the same LOB and region. Okay, the rest is no change at all. I'm just using the new relationship join. In this case, of course, the features, of course, the same. Okay, I don't need to show anymore. The key thing here is when I use this new relationship join, you can also do the extracts. And also, if you click edit extracts, now this time there is no option for the physical table anymore in this level, because in the traditional, but don't worry, the end result is still same, because in the new relationship join, this is considered a logical table, and the user entitlement is considered another logical table. So what happened is extracts will happen at the logical table level. Order is logical table, so one extract. User entitlement is another logical table, that's another extracts. So still multi-table extracts. I know it's a little bit confusing because in a relationship, potentially each of these logical table can have multiple table join. Okay, what it means is the extracts happen at this level. Okay, happen at logical table level. In my example, my orders is one table, my entitlement is another table. So my extracts happen in logical table level, means I still end up with having two separate tables for extracts. So my impact for performance still minimum. My performance of the dashboard still should be better, a lot better for most cases. This is a second way of doing the join. Again, the first one is traditional left join. The second example is a new relationship. I'm going to show you third way. The third is blending. Okay, I mean, you may say, why do the blending when you have a way to join? Of course, blending does limit some of the functions, calculations, and so on, but sometimes blending is the only way to do things. For example, your base table may be Oracle, entitlement table may be Excel, okay, or MySQL Server. So you have almost no way to do other way, other relationship or join. So this, sometimes the data is different granularity, so the blending is the only way. Even use blending, my point is you can still achieve row level security the same way. When blending here, already you see that I can still do the, but in this case, extracts doesn't really matter too much because when I do the blending, it's blending them together. It's one big table. But the good news is happened at the summary level, not detail level. So unlikely your data will be explored, okay, in the blending case. So there are three different ways to recap. Okay, let me recap on the slides. Recap you on the slides on the username function. Okay, username function. There are different ways of using usernames. Okay. Again, recap on username. Basically, return the username, not display name of the current server user. Example of username maybe likely is email address. That's very commonly used by many companies. Three ways. One is cross-DB traditional join. Recommend the left join. Have your base table on the left side, entitlement on the right side is the left join. Okay, this is a traditional way. In this way, you make sure select extracts, physical table extracts. This way, your extract size will be much smaller. Very likely performance is better. Of course, there is a trade-off. This way is no incremental, no extract filter, no aggregation, no topping. There's trade-off. Okay. What means multi-table extracts? For that, if it's one table extracts, table one, table two, basically their potential explosion, data explosion, they get very large extracts. That's a problem. Okay. Where the multi-table extracts is not new. It's available since 2018.3. Basically become two separate extracts tables. Very likely make performance better, a lot better. All right, this is one. Second one, we talk about relationship join, the new relationship join. Okay. In this case, by default, it's logical table, which is good enough. Logical table, in this case, also means multi-table. Orders is one logical table. Use entitlement is another logical table. Don't be confused, although it's, the selection is left this time. Okay. Third option I explained to you is blending. Entitlement can be different database as your base table. You do the entitlement. You do the blending. Okay. I do a blending, still using the same username function. And I don't think I need to walk through step by step, but this is a second most popular options to design the row level security username feature. And when you design the permission for the workbook, the same way, same permission setting as is member of. Okay. There's a third one. Let me complete this third one. That is content functions. Content function is basically concatenate all allowed usernames in one common delimited field in your data, and then use the content function, contain this username, that username, that username. It's more like extension of the username, but it's like multiple username. Sounds simple. This can be a lot of data preparation work. Again, the content function is nothing but string comparison. Hey, people may say, any database guy will recommend you do not use string comparison, right? That is slow. We all know that. But somehow Tableau's content function is not slow at all. I do have one big use case in my workspace that use content function. Performance works beautifully. Okay. But a lot of data preparation work, a lot. I don't need to show you the case, but very similar as username, but just like extension of username from one user to many users. The key is make data ready. Okay. All right, that's all the three high-level different designs we talk about. Let me test your understanding before I get to the, another set of questions. Test your understanding so far. Does each member of work for multi-table extracts? The answer is yes. Is a member of works for multi-table extracts. Works for extracts. Does username work for multi-table extracts? Answer is yes. It works with extracts and multi-table extracts. Why I say multi-table extracts again and again? For better performance. I mentioned about this earlier. Is content always slower due to string comparison? Not really. Not really. Okay. Now we talk about multiple designs. Okay. Is a member of username content. How do I decide which one to use? In the QA, someone mentioned about user filter. I don't recommend you use filter, but it's a function available for you to use. The reason I don't recommend the user filter is just because it cannot scale. It's like you add a user, you have to change the workbook data source versus if you use the username, hey, you just change a group. Use entitlement table, just change your entitlement table. Okay, likely your entitlement table can be used by multiple workbooks, so save a lot of time, right? Okay, username function is a member of those can be scaled. The recommendation is always use is member first. If it doesn't work, try username, then try contents. That's my recommendation. Very, very often, actually, it's okay to combine to use all of them together. I'll show you one real case, okay? But I'll talk a little bit again, a high-level comparison among these three. Is a member of the server group to control, works with extracts. Likely, if your directory group sync with the server, pretty much you don't need a title workbook. Okay, you just change the directory group members, and then the user getting permissions. The limitation is hard to deal with 30 plus group members, mainly because membership maintenance can become a nightmare. Then if you have too many groups to control, likely you will choose username function. Okay, be careful username function for the performance. Likely username function will decrease the performance, will make performance worse. A tips trick is strongly recommend multi-table extracts for most cases will give you better performance. Content is more like extension of the username, can be a lot of ETL processing work, data preparation work. Again, some people, maybe a lot of people, they use all those three together. I'm going to show you one real life example. This is a math course. Server admin insights data source. Okay, this is available online as well. Also, if your server, you have your own dedicated Tableau server, you can download this from the GitHub. I'll give you the link, GitHub link. Myself, I implement this on my server. And not only that, I also make this data source available to all my publishers. They love it. I made this to all my publishers. How I do so? Well, I think it's already there in the GitHub. See, I use combination of all the three. Is a member of, contains, server admins, contains, username, contents, username. I use all the combination of all the three. So what this gives me is that since I made this Postgres data source as a published data source, made it available to all my publishers with the row level security that works in such a way where each content owner can see their data. If you're a project leader, as you can see, content, the username is project owner, then they can project leader. Second, content function is project leader. If they are project leader, project owner, they can see all the usage in their projects. And of course, if you're admin, you see everything. Okay, basically, the row level security enables me to give the Postgres data, the use data, extract data to all my publishers. So I don't have to build too many separate workbook data sources for them. It's one for all with row level security design. All right. We have a few more minutes. Key takeaway. This is my last slide. Then I'll come to the QA part more. Last slide. Get this Tableau Server Insights data source if you have not done so, and make it available to all your publishers using the row level security design. Mainly use three combination: is member of, username, and content functions. All right. Second takeaway: When you know how to do this row level security design, teach your publishers how to do it. And especially tell them how to do the multi-table extracts and how to set the permissions on data source and the workbook. Okay. Again, use multi-table extracts for better performance, for much better performance. That is all I have. Let me go back to the QAs. I got 10 more minutes for the QAs. Marco, what version Tableau, your demo, we have some new names, primary work. Yeah, Jeff, thank you, Jeff. Initial note, okay. Hitash, there is a way to find out workbook using which function by using application called RapidBox. It gives metadata of entire Tableau workbook. I do have metadata API. I have data catalog. I can try that. RapidBox. Let me take a note on that. Thank you, Hitash. I'll take a note for that. Okay. I'll try that. You recommend it. That's new to me. Okay, if anyone has any other better way of doing these things, yeah, feel free to share. Thank you. Shonan Morgan. If the data source is published and shared, as recommended, the filter best be on the data source level. Correct. Okay, I agree. I like this approach. But what if different workbook filter data source differently? What if different workbook filter data source totally differently? In this case, the row level security may be on the workbook instead of data sources, all right? Hopefully not. I know that the row level security is mainly on the security of your data set. One published data source with the row level security actually can be connected with multiple different workbooks. Although the workbook can have additional filter, but not for the row level security, for some other purposes. That's okay. The idea is to centralize the security in the published data source if possible, not workbook level. You may heard of Tableau's centralized security design. It's called published connections. They may call other name when it is released. The concept is even further up level, try to centralize the security even before the public data source. Right now, they call it published connections. So potentially in the future, one published connection can have multiple published data sources. And each published data source can have multiple workbooks. That's a concept Tableau is coming up. I heard about 21.4 release will have this centralized security or published connection feature. The idea is centralized security. Again, before the feature is available, try to centralize security as much as you can. So one way to centralize today is put in the published data sources. In future, put it in the published connections when it's available. This currently the question is answered already, I guess. In the extract setting, there is option filter. What is the difference between the filter there and the data source filter? Well, if you add the filter to the extracts, I see. So the question is, what is the difference between data source filter versus extracts filter, right? That's a question. Let me talk about that. Data source filter versus extracts filter, okay? If you put extracts filter, it will reduce the extracts volume right away, okay? If you put extracts filter, the output of extracts filter volume is reduced right away. Let's say the original data has 4 regions. You put the extracts filter only for 1 region. So the end result of the extract only has 1 region data. Now, if you put data source filter, it still has 4 regions. Okay, it does not reduce number of records in the extracts. However, depends on the users, you may see 3, 1, 2, or all regions. That's the difference. Hopefully you got this piece. It's different. Brandy, can you explain how embed password in a published data source work when you use data source in the workbook? What issue does solve? When you publish data source, of course, you need to embed a password. Otherwise, data source cannot be refreshed. Okay, that's one. You embed password in the published data source in order to refresh, right? Second, when you publish a workbook that connects to the published data source, you also want to embed your password in the workbook. That embedding is not refresh purposes. That embedding in the workbook is proxy purposes. So let's say I publish a workbook, embedding my password in my workbook. I can use this workbook connects to data sources, two data sources. Think about that. I had this workbook has 5 groups. Those 5 groups users, I don't need to give them any of them the connect permission to my 2 data sources. They don't need to even know where they come from because all those users in the 5 groups, they'll be using my proxy to the 2 public data sources. Sounds like a bit complicated to explain. Hopefully you got that. Then when use published data source with the row level security in Tableau prep, I receive errors unable to use correct. That's a prep. Prep, I don't think works with row level security yet. I may be wrong. I receive error, unable to use row level security even though I have permission. Yeah. Chat replied, unfortunately, there's no way. Yeah. Thank you, chat. Kelly, sorry. For all the workbooks in the community Tableau server inside, do you need to publish to data source and the workbook separately? Yes, of course. Strongly recommend publish them separately. Yeah. Yeah. It's the answer already there. Rahul. I will request you to please do a session related to Tableau Server client library for Python. Okay, the Python, actually one guy did a good Python, but okay, we can arrange the Tableau Server client library Python talk. Yeah. All right. I do have for a few more minutes. Any other questions? Can a server account be used for proxy? No, I don't think so. A service account, no. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't use service account for proxy purposes because then it became messy. I don't know who's using that. I always use a true user account, but I guess you can use service account if you want. I don't want to deal with service account because for me it's a potential security concerns. So in my server, I sync company directories. In that setting, I specifically saying no service account allowed on my server. It's mainly for better peace of mind security, no matter row level security or not. Okay. Whenever I need to know who did what on server, basically. If a service account is used, sometimes I don't know who did it. So this recording will be available early next week. It will be available at the best way for you to go is go to this link. I do have a permanent link over there. Okay. Question, Lee, is there a limit on the size of Tableau extracts? Lee, what's the limit on size of Tableau extracts? In theory, is no limit, but I'm always concerned my server is very large. I'm always concerned with too big extracts causing my server either memory issue or backup take too long. I have a 10 gig limit although there's no way you can configure that. So what I do is I have a Python script running every day on the server. If anyone's workbook is more than 10 gig, it will get deleted automatically. An email be sent out to the owner automatically saying, hey, your size is more than 10 gig. We don't allow. That's my way of doing things. But I asked a few other server admins, what happens? What's the largest size of the extract variant on the server? I do hear more than 10, which is okay. It's your decision. If you are the proxy and you leave the company and you will not work anymore, still work. We all know that even the user is unlicensed on the server, okay, it means leave the company, become unlicensed. The user, unlicensed user can still own the workbook, can still work, okay? Although the right way is that when user left the company, the project leader should change this user ownership, data source or workbook ownership from this user to another user, okay? I do have a similar challenge where people left the company, they still own the workbooks, and all the extracts failures still go to the user who never received it anymore. So what I do is I have a separate Python program where it's called invalid user. When a user is unlicensed, if they own any content, we will send alert to the project leaders, tell them, hey, this user left the company. You may want to assign those workbooks, those data sources to another user in your team. As server admin, that's all I can do. I don't know who will be the right person, but unlicensed users should not own anymore. But Tableau does not give us a feature, so we build our own kind of reminder. Another question, if you have a test server and a production server, is there any way we publish data source to one server and data source could be duplicate another server? I don't recommend. Although Tableau does have a migration tool, of course you have to buy a separate license, but I don't recommend you do things in one test server, you migrate to production server. That's a traditional waterfall approach. In Tableau world, most people do not do test environment thing, okay? I'm not saying you should not have your test server, you should. I do have my test server, but my test server is mainly for driver testing, upgrade testing, not really for workbook data source testing, okay? Do it directly in production. That's how I do it. Hitachi, there are temporary tables around Oracle DB. Can we disable the creation of those temporary tables? I don't know. Temporary tables are Oracle DB? I don't know. I'm not a DB guy. I don't know the answer. David, is there any way to programmatically extract the workbook data source name similar to the username? I'm reading again. David, is there any way to programmatically extract workbook worksheet name similar to username? Extract workbook data worksheet name similar to username. I'm not quite sure this question. If you have access to your Postgres, of course you can get, yeah, REST API, thank you. Or you can, if you have access to your Postgres database, you can query workbook name or view name as a worksheet name, okay. Z-way, what is best way to upgrade Tableau server using test server? Well, of course, you will always upgrade your test server first, then upgrade your production server, right? That's what pretty much everyone does, right? Okay. I think I got all the questions. There's the last one coming. Again, asking for the service count. If you don't use service count, how do you change it? How do you handle password change? Well, password change. Some database every 3 months, every 6 months, you need to change your password. You just change the password. There is a way actually to change your password for all of your data sources or workbooks. Okay, there is a way. Of course, you have to select all your data source workbooks and they change it once. There's a way if that's what you're asking for. Okay. Vimshi, can I change the domain of Tableau server out? Reinstall? Oh no, I don't know. Can you change the domain of a Tableau server without reinstalling Tableau server? I will not do so. Reinstalling Tableau server once is not bad. Does not take too much. You do a domain, I don't know. I never did that before. Okay, again, upgrade. Next month, we'll talk about upgrade more. Do you try to upgrade test server first and then make DNS to redirect production server to upgrade test server? Is that a good way? I don't know. I will not mess up that. I will not mess up the DNS thing to redirect. I don't know. What I do have is I do have a DR. Other than production, my DR is in more like equivalent of production. I do upgrade DR, and between DR and the production instance, I do have a load balancer. I can switch the DR if that's what you're thinking, okay? Because when you use the test server term, I'm a little bit nervous. Okay, I use DR. I do have production DR and test, if that is what you are asking. Okay, I'll take the last question from Alex. And Alex, can you please show the security settings slide of a published data source? Okay, will be available. I can make this whole deck available. I don't know what's the best way to make it. I tried to publish this whole thing PDF to Tableau community. The size is too big. I tried to publish this to my own blog site. Somehow they didn't allow me either. Used to be able to. Right now I cannot. I don't know what's the best way to show it, to give you guys. Seriously, I wanted to give you guys. What is the security design? This is the one I think you're asking for. For now, take a screenshot. I'll find a way to make this available for everyone. Okay. Thank you very, very much, and enjoy the weekend. Talk to you next month. Bye then.